Welcome to Navigating the Aftermath, the podcast where we explore the journey of rebuilding and rediscovery after life storms. Join us as we delve into stories of resilience, triumph, and transformation, offering insights and inspiration to guide you through your own path of healing and growth.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jessica, and I am so lucky to be interviewing Dasha today. She is a divorce coach, but she is also an amazing person. Her ability to hold space is truly incredible. I am so lucky to have her as a friend, and I'm just excited to bring her today to you. So we're gonna be talking about her new book and journal, My New Book of Life. And it's your new book of life once you get it. So we're going to be talking a little bit about this, and then we're going to be doing an exercise together. And I was actually feeling a little bit nervous, so I suggested to start off with a meditation. So we'll start our interview with a short 2-minute, maybe it's 2 minutes, probably 1 minute meditation. And then we'll jump into talking about Dasha, what inspired her, and we'll do an exercise, and we're going to end the interview on a high note. Don't worry, you're not going to be left in the little trenches of, we're going to make sure to set you off on a good foot. Okay, so we'll jump into the meditation first. Make sure you're seated or standing in a comfortable, stable position. I like to close my eyes. If you can't close your eyes, that's okay. So I'll say, go ahead and close your eyes. Then you can put your hands on your thighs or on your stomach, whatever feels better to you. Take a couple deep breaths and just feel the sensation of your breath flowing in and out of your nose, through your lungs, and feel your pulsing blood in your body. Specifically, say hello to your feet and feel the pulsing of blood in your hands. And give acknowledgement to any part of your body that is especially speaking up, whether this is good in quotations or bad. Just give it presence and let it say hello. Now we'll say hello to the center point of our pelvis area. This is the home of our physical body. It's also the home of feeling physically safe. And I'm going to say a lot of us, but I can say specifically for myself, my energetic pattern over time was to evaporate out of my lower part of my body as a strategy of feeling safe, but the result was actually the opposite. So go ahead and just say hello to your pelvis area. And then float up to your heart, say hello to your heart space. Knowing that your communication with anybody that you encounter in your day or that you love receives you, understands you, and you receive them and understand what they're actually trying to communicate. And then we'll say hello to the center point of our head space. Feel where the silence exists. And sit floating in that silence in your head space. You could also call it peace. And then let's bring in a little bit of manifesting cosmic energy. I like to also call it God or love. So connect to the universal God source love energy that feels good to you. It must feel good. If it doesn't feel good, it's not God or source. and allow it to flush your body and just clean out whatever doesn't serve you, flowing down the center of your spine and just flushing your whole body, giving you a new regenerated sense of being, and going down through your pelvis, down through your feet to the center of the earth. And if there's something that you're desiring or wanting, like a dream or a manifestation, go ahead and imagine that flowing in through the cosmic flow of energy through your body. And notice where it especially feels good in your body. Allowing whatever doesn't serve you to go down through your feet and through your pelvis to the center of the earth, being recycled for its higher purpose. Take one last breath of closing the meditation. Say thank you for this unseen support flowing into your life. And we're going to open our eyes. Okay.
Thank you, Jessica, for such a wonderful introduction and this beautiful meditation. Oh, so good. What a great start.
Thank you. I'm way more calm and purely excited. No nerves now. This is great. Thank you, Dasha. And thank you everyone to participating. So, Dasha, how did you get started as a divorce coach? Because when I hear that title, it sounds like kind of a negative title that I don't know if I would want to do that, but I know that you love what you do and I know that you're passionate about it. So go ahead and share how you got started.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So many people, well, divorce is a complex and daunting process and experience that it can be life-changing. We can make it a rebirthing process, or we can make it really, really bad experience that changes our lives in a bad way. And at some point, I in my journey, I added and divorce coach and a resource coach, money, time, and energy. Because yes, you're absolutely right. People have the negative connotation to this. And it's frankly not something I was dreaming about when becoming a divorce coach. Life brought me there. It's the calling. This is where I can help mostly women, this who I work with. I went through my divorce and it was a traumatic experience. I learned so much. And being a certified life coach, I thought this is where I can make a difference because mistakes can be made so easily because it's such an emotionally charged process. At the same time, it's legally so many things are going on. And we think, based on movies, they're doing disservice to us in this regard, showing that our lawyers are going to be there for us 24/7 and they're going to be holding our hands. We can cry on their shoulders. In the reality, lawyers are there to really help us with the legal paperwork, and this is it. So at some point, I'm in horses, so I use a lot of horse metaphors. It's when a woman going through a divorce, man as well, imagine yourself being a racehorse. A racehorse has a team of people, and trainers, people who exercise the horse, the jockeys, and they all have specific niche where they are brilliant. And then there are vets and there are there are so many people who help this horse and the jockey being successful. And this is what, when we go through such a huge life-changing event as a divorce, we really need the support team. So I think of myself as a part of the team, the part of a support team for every person going through such a transformational process.
Great. Thank you. And then eventually during the interview, I want to get to your resource, like a resource coach. I feel like right now is not the time, but later I definitely want to circle back to resources and how you help people open up to money, energy, emotional resources.
Oh, I love this. Absolutely.
Thank you. Great. So I love your book. It's so beautiful. And I'm reading through, and as I'm reading, I'm like, yep, yep, yep. So, yeah, what was the inspiration for you to start this?
One of my clients, because I highly recommend journaling. And myself included, I have a fear of a blank page. I was like, what should I write? And I really trained myself. I had this notebook in my car during my divorce, and I would say, I don't know what to write about. And I would write the whole page because I felt so stuck and so numb, and something would come out. But that was like, I really like to push myself. And I know it's not for everybody. And that is something that I have. This is how I was born. So I could push myself through this. And then recommending this to my clients, hey, journal that will just like let it all out. And I started hearing feedback, especially from one client. She was like, I am terrified of the blank page. I can't. I have this like analysis paralysis. I'm overthinking it. Help. And I created a very light version of this book with a couple of exercises. And then it started evolving. I started giving it to more clients like, hey, here is the tool. Started receiving feedback, what works for them, what doesn't. And I gave it to a couple of fellow coaches, yourself included, so I can receive the feedback. And the feedback was like, oh my God, like if I had this book when I was going through a divorce, I probably would be several years ahead where I am now. I would be a couple of years back, I would be at the same place. She's like, it's brilliant. One of my friends coaches, she's like, you really gotta like put all of the feedback in and start selling the book. Like you have no choice but do it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So this is how this book was born. It was a process, definitely. And funny thing, it took me 9.5 months exactly. So I really felt like I was given birth.
Hmm.
And it's, yeah, it truly felt like this when I hit publish on Amazon, and then I decided to go.
Oh, so people can buy it already?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, it's up on Amazon. We'll include the link down below. It's yep, it's available. It's even Prime, so you can buy it for 24.99. And I think it's a very reasonable price for such a powerful tool. And I use this book. This is what I have, the copy I have. This is my third one because once I started inviting change in my life, it just keeps pouring in. I'm like, oh, I gotta leave myself behind. So this book is about rewriting the story and really just leaving the past in the past, taking the gems. There is even the meditation about unloading the backpack of all the heavy, huge rocks, sitting at the crossroads, sorting through them, making them as gems with the right high pressure. This is how the most beautiful gems, the diamonds, are created. And this is what we become. We become these beautiful gemstones. And then you just pack your light backpack with those gorgeous gemstones, and you keep going to the next chapter of your life called My New Story. And then you keep what you learned, but it's not heavy, it's not weighting you down anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just a, yeah, it's just a lesson. It's not the emotional tax, emotional experience, emotional re-experience.
Yes. And another layer is sometimes it's difficult to do this book alone because
Mm-hmm.
it can bring so many emotions. I gave it to one woman who's post-divorce for, I believe, 10 years. And then she said, I realized I didn't heal properly. I really just stuffed the wound and just patched it up, put the bandage on, and hope for the best. But then she was like, I started pulling the bandage, and then it's like I started freaking out. And luckily she reached out to me and said, "Hey, I literally need hand holding. Like, can we get together
Mhm.
and you can walk me and really just hold, like you said, like hold the space, hold me while I'm doing this." And it was so transformational. We both ended up crying. It was a
Oh,
beautiful experience. It was painful, yes. And then she said, I feel like 100 pounds lighter. It just incredible. So I really like, I have goosebumps just reliving that moment because it was so powerful.
yeah, I love that. It's it just goes to show that this book is not specifically only for people that are going through or just went through divorce. This book is also for anybody that's ready for a change in their life. Even if you're married, that's, it can support you in building a stronger marriage because you get clarity on what you want next.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes we didn't even know that we needed change. I vividly recall the moment for me, and it was, I believe, like 7 years ago. I'm not really good telling time. um, that I was thinking, I feel stuck. Everything seems fine in my marriage and me being a mom. Everything was fine. I had everything that I wanted, but something was lacking. And then I didn't see it, right? When we are in toxic relationships, when we're in them, we don't really see the bigger picture. We feel something is off, but then we don't really, cannot really put a finger on it. And I remember meditating. I started buying gazillion courses, meditation, some like brain wave thingies, and um, praying. I remember somehow, I forgot how, it was like magical coincidence, which we know it's not a coincidence. A prayer to Archangel Michael landed on my lap, and I was reading this every night and praying to remove darkness because I started feeling some like dark cloud waiting over me. I realized that I had toxic marriage and things started going, some people say downhill. I would say uphill, like climbing the mountain. It was
But
difficult, right? But then it was necessary. And when I was creating this book, I was thinking I did some of the exercises, but not all of them at once, so to speak, not in one place, just putting pieces together. That again, like I agree with one of the people who told me, like, I wish I had it back then. And there is no great time to do it. I mean, there is no perfect time. You and me, we know, is like life keeps throwing lemons, and we'll do the best that we can. There is never ideal time for anything, but we're committed, we're going to do it. And it's again something that we might feel we're stuck, we don't really know what's going on, and then, oh, when you start doing this, start putting together your values. How many of us talk about values, right? It's not a talk at dinner that we have. And then, oh, realizing if I build my life according to my core values, this is a different life that I have now. How can I get from point A to point B? And this is why I truly believe that each of us got to have a good coach in life coach and a therapist. So we are healing from all of the directions and we really get the lessons. They don't hurt us so much. We learn them through pain, yes. And also we see them as those gems. So
mhm.
gotta have somebody to support us. And that is my big hope for this book, to be that silent guide through the words on the pages and really radiating this energy of, I got you, you're not alone.
Mm, I love that. I've got you. You're not alone. So yeah, you'd say this book is for anyone that feels that
Yeah.
just kind of stuck. I don't know what's going on. I Yeah, I would say it's it's a great book to do at least once. whether you just seeking clarity is always a good thing. Always.
Yeah, even though it's painful, right? It's like, oh
It
my
doesn't have to
gosh, I
be.
wish I didn't know that.
It doesn't have to be. Clarity can be exciting.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. So now I know what exactly to talk to them about. Or now I know exactly what I want to create. It doesn't have to be painful, even though it's sometimes good. But that's how you get the gems.
Yes, exactly. Yep. That sometimes the high pressure. And it's it's really amazing how any life-changing event can be, we resist that a lot. And that is just so natural, right? We're creatures of habit. And I look at animals, and we're from the animal kingdom. And we actually thrive on routine, on systems, and but then we also love change. And I was like, we're in both places sometimes. It's like we know that change is inevitable. We're resisting it, yet part of us really welcomes that. And it creates a lot of whirling inside of us, and we like feel like pulled into different directions, and we don't really know how to deal with that, which is very human, very normal, unless we have specific training on how to do it. And I love telling my clients that personal development it is not about stopping life to happen to you. It's happening for you, for me, for all of us. It's just shifting the perspective, shifting the mindset, and be,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, that's cool. That means I gotta learn this lesson. Or if
Mm-hmm.
the situation is less than desirable, okay, let's pause. Let's journal. Let's see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Really uncover, like you said, clarity, and it doesn't have to be painful. You're I love this. You're absolutely right. It can be exciting, and if we have right tools, we can make it exciting. Like we did the meditation, and you shared that you were nervous. After what, only a couple of minutes, we all, whoo, that is really good. We arrived. We're just creating this beautiful vortex of energy, and it's wonderful. But how many times do we pause and meditate during the day if we are not mindful about it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's, if you have a new baby,
Yeah.
it's pretty hard to find those times. But if you can attach a mundane thing that you do every day to kind of like a waking or a walking style meditation, that's one way to ground or get centered in a meditative style. So I try to practice meditation on my walks. And so the meditation that I just did right now, the guided meditation, I try to feel each energy center point as I'm walking, and I try to be really conscious of the sensation physically inside my body. And it is weird yeah, it's really weird at first. It's abstract and I don't really get it, but it helps. It changes your life, and it can support you through divorce or
Absolutely.
any other life change. So, do you have a favorite chapter in this book?
Yes, I do. I love life balance because it is so difficult to reach. And it's that dingling carrot in front of us that we think, oh, once I reach that, I will feel balanced. This is why it's chapter 2. I did not start with that, but I was like, I cannot keep it all the way to the end of the book because it's what do we really want in our lives? And I feel every time I have a thought, oh, I reached that. Another lemon. I'm catching from life and squeezing lemonade again and feeling like, oh my gosh, I have too much lemonade. How much one person can do, can take, can live
Mhm.
through. And then it's you pointed out so beautifully that is crucial to be so in alignment with what our body needs and wants, because this is our vessel. And I remember when my daughter was little and we went traveling and she said, "Oh, I miss home so much." Sweetie, you love snails. She was obsessed with snails. This is who we are. We carry our home with us everywhere we go because
Mm.
this body is our home and we gotta treat it well. We gotta listen to it. We gotta be like, even with hugs, like if you have nobody to hug you, give yourself a big hug. Your brain cannot tell a difference. And we gotta really be in touch. And then life throws you something, and then you're thinking, I am a recovering overthinker. Because it's so easy for me be in my mind and analyzing things and reminiscing about something. And then it's not good because I hold so much tension in my body.
Mm,
So how to
okay.
release this tension, how to do it. And
So
then
you're saying that overthinking does not get you to life balance.
no, I don't think so. Because the way I see, I struggle the most when I'm a lot here and I forgot that this vessel got to be taken care of and I
Mm.
got to bring them together. And it's that flexibility. And through physical exercises, as much as we're like, oh, myself included, I was like, oh, but find something that you're passionate about. I'm passionate about horseback riding. And it doesn't matter how tired I am. When I see my horse, I start packing him up and like, oh, I feel much better already. And it's just finding something, even if it's like a 5 minute walk, something like, and life balance, it's a commitment to self care. And another
Okay,
big,
wait, I want to repeat that because
oh,
that's a shift for me. Life balance is a commitment to self-care. Okay, so just for the people listening, just close your eyes and check in with yourself. And how strong is your commitment to your own self? Because I bet it's not high.
yeah, been there, done that, and nothing good comes out of it. But it's like, right, when you have kids, young kids, older kids, or you have somebody like older parents you care for, it's so easy to put your needs on the third, fourth, fifth level and the priority list. It's not on top of the priority list. But if we don't have us, we cannot provide care for anybody else. And it's difficult at times. Be
Mm.
well, I gotta retrieve, I gotta be walking, I gotta be at the ocean, I gotta do something that to recharge my batteries. I gotta do the
Mhm.
meditation. I started doing yoga nidra every morning, and it's been a life changer because I slowly wake up. I know some people say you gotta wake up, like you would feel tired regardless. When the alarm is off, you're up. I know for me, personally, for my body, it's not going to work. I would feel really dizzy and miserable and just like, ugh, I would not enjoy life at all. Just knowing what works for you, but then it's like trial and error,
Mm.
giving yourself grace and accepting that I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to fall flat on my face. Some people may laugh, but guess what? People who laugh or judge, they're not making progress in their lives. I bet you
Mm.
money. Or they're not progressing fast enough, or something is off because people who truly go through the process, same as people who are truly there with their kids every step of the way, would never judge other parents doing something off, something wrong, something different because I'm like, oh my gosh, I know how difficult it is. How can I help? What can I do?
Would you say that life balance is more of a math equation or more of an art masterpiece?
Oh, definitely art, but art can be math. So I truly believe there's some components like flexibility, adaptability, accountability, and responsibility um, will lead to the resilience.
Okay.
So some lemons are really big and sour. That can really be just shaking you to the core. like divorce. Some lemons are maybe, I don't know, Meyer lemons. They're sweet and nice and they're soft. And you can really enjoy them, or you can be like, yeah, they're really not my thing, but it's okay. So it's just really having this, but also giving yourself that art or sport, some kind of like you are limber, you're flexible, and you can change your moves. And
Okay.
accepting, I feel that acceptance is such a big piece, a big part of
Mhm.
it,
Yeah.
that it's okay. Life, we're blessed. Like what I would feel really bad about if I felt stagnant, if I felt stuck. But when changes happen, when it's dynamic, great. Is it hard to keep up? Yes. Is it tiring? Absolutely. There are times I want to pull covers over my head and be, no, 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 no. I'm done. I don't want to go. I don't want to, no. But then it's like, well, guess what? If I give up, nothing good comes out of it. Things are not going to be resolved on their own. So I just really be, okay, what can I do right now? Like bare minimum is like I would rather keep going and progressing towards what feels balanced to me at this phase of my life, because another chapter, another phase, something else might feel balanced.
Mm. Yeah.
Now, big
So
piece is budgeting, budgeting everything.
budgeting.
It's hideous, it's daunting, it's not fun
It
at
can be fun to
first.
some people.
At first, and then you get to the, well, it's not fun when you're lacking, right? When you're,
Right. Oh, yeah.
I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, and actually taking the big step and be, take a deep breath, be like, okay, what actually is going on? We all have the same amount of time, energy and money is different for everybody, but
Mm.
still, like, what actually is going on? Getting clarity on this, because it's, you can have time, but if you don't have energy to do something, you're not going to do this. Or if you have money but if you don't have time, so we got to have this three balls, juggling them, and just there, or buckets, whatever. I love metaphors and
I
some,
like the ball. That's
yeah, like pictures,
um yeah.
like either juggling them or imagining all of the areas of your life as buckets with water. Sometimes one bucket of a family has more water than a bucket of work. Sometimes bucket of work is overfilling. You're like, oh, hold on. My family bucket is empty dry. There is not a drop in there. And then it's like, take a step back, reassess. It's okay. I find when people start beating themselves up, this is when the process slows down. So that resistance piece. And I see the success in clients that have no or not so much of a resistance.
Mm.
They're like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. Okay, this is happening. What can I do? And for me, it's fascinating because I definitely have a lot of resistance to change. I joke that I inherited it from my dad because my dad is, he just cannot, he hates change, which is interesting because he's a scientist. He's okay with change happening in his scientific field, but in life, God forbids. It's just so interesting that I realized that. I was like, okay, I want to really improve and pass it on to my daughter so she will improve and pass it on to her kids and on and on and on.
Mhm.
Because in our high, just fast pace in life,
Mhm.
adaptability is the key to feel balanced and just patting yourself on the back. Small wins. I was like, I did dishes today. Great. Awesome.
I want to share with you because we had a past conversation and you told me exactly that. You were explaining how to like really, really celebrate the small wins. And I finally like prepared a great meal for my baby and she ate great. And I was, yes. And I just forgot to text you, but it happened 2 days in a row. And I was like, good job, me. Like, yes. And I want to thank you for that. But I also want to share with the people that are watching how important that is. It really makes a difference. It made a huge difference for me celebrating that tiny thing as a mom of, yes, I made a really great meal for her and she ate everything.
Yes. Yeah, and
And
a happy dance, right? We gotta like watching kids. When they do something, they're like, yay, woo-hoo. They move their bodies to really tell their system, like, oh my God, that's awesome. I want more of that. But when we're like, oh yeah, okay, I did this, and being really just containing this,
mm,
it's not gonna register as a win. So I always encourage, it feels silly. I remember first doing this, I'm like, it feels really silly. I just did dishes, or I just went for a walk, or I took myself out for dinner. Why would I do something silly like this? But then it was like, there are studies, right? That's our brain needs that to, okay, I love this. Let's do more of this.
would you say that it's kind of like a pattern interrupt that actually supports people in being able to increase their capacity of what they can tolerate?
Absolutely, because it's that mind shift to the positive. Instead of like, oh, I look at my to-do list, I didn't do this. I caught myself doing this the other day. I was feeling a bit down with this weather changing and the beginning of the high school for my daughter. It has been pretty bumpy. It's a big transition, it's a big change. And I started thinking, oh, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And then I was like, up, stop, pause. And I literally stopped. I was driving and I pulled over and I got out of the car. I shook it out. Like literally, it was like, let's shake it off. Okay, what did I do? And the list actually was longer than the things I didn't do. And if I didn't catch, thank you, if I didn't catch myself and pause and really walk my talk, because I really love that when I talk to coaches, I'm like, how, like, are you your own client? And there are some
Yeah.
coaches say, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you try whatever exercise, whatever on yourself first. And
Mm,
I was like, yeah, I agree 100% because I am my biggest client. This is who
mhm.
I try everything, what works, what doesn't, and if it doesn't work, why? For another person, it might work. So all of these things, but I tried on myself first, and I was like, aha, I had the right tool. I had this, but when you might be tired or just things being just keep happening, it's so easy to go down this rabbit hole and be
Mm,
beating yourself up, but it's not gonna
mhm.
help anything. It's not gonna do any good because it's that creating that resistance.
I love that. So one way to break your resistance is to do what you're saying of like over exaggerate your celebration of whatever itty bitty win that you did. And maybe you're supposed to do it, like doing the dishes or cooking dinner or maybe making a healthy dinner or dressing pretty or getting dressed at all.
I love that too. Let her breathe.
Yeah. So whatever you did, over exaggerating the win is an amazing way to like pattern interrupt and kind of implement this concept of life balance on the spot.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
love
Yeah. And always, so it's right, we want to focus on positive, but then we can go all the way to the opposite end and be experiencing toxic positivity. So how to balance
that.
this out? Because like, oh, some really bad situation that I'm encountering, something bad is happening to me, like a loss of a loved one. And you're like, they're in a better place. Like you really, it's not that positivity that we talk about.
No.
Um, it's different. It's more like, yes, this is hard, like accepting or even saying it out loud. I am having a bad day. I feel moody. I feel this, I feel that. Asking yourself, what do I want to feel better? Maybe it's going and buying yourself, I don't know, ice cream and eating it without your kids being present while they're at school, or taking a break and going to watching how leaves sparkle in the sun on the trees, whatever it can be, but just again, bringing yourself back into your home. What do I need to feel better? How can I
Mm.
help myself? And that creates a beautiful pattern of not needing people in your life. How in marriages, right? How many of us stay in toxic marriages because we think we need that person. And then it's like, oh, actually, no, I want to create life that I want people. I want certain people in my life, but I don't use people as crutches to
Yeah.
support myself. So there are a lot of beautiful byproducts of really looking at life balance from all of these different perspectives, and knowing that it can be a math equation and art is there. Absolutely.
I love that. And I imagine I would like to add that when you don't need the person, it kind of also strengthens your relationship because then it takes away that like the neediness and
Yeah, the
they're
codependency.
yeah,
Absolutely. It's
you're able to focus on that you want them there.
Yeah, and it's easier to say no, it's easier to maintain boundaries, and the list goes on and on. So when we are physically doing things good for our bodies, massages, yoga, Pilates, playing sports, walking, running, jogging, whatever it might be, and then we feel emotionally better, we keep the momentum going, we really think about our emotional health, our mental health, and then like overall whole wellness, and like, oh, actually I feel great, I feel balanced. And again, no matter, I was like, I imagine tennis players as well, when the ball is flying towards them, they readjust, they run to one side of the field of the court and to another, they really adjust their bodies, and they hit the ball. So it's kind of like that, being flexible, being kind of like bouncy, like, okay, because whenever we feel stagnant, that huge changes like start happening, and we're like, whoa. And it's really easy to quit. I remember in the beginning of my divorce, I wanted to be like, maybe I'm making a mistake, maybe it was not all bad, because the change was hard. Being a single parent, as you know, is hard. Being a parent is hard. Being a single parent is like triple that, 10 times that. And there are a lot of changes in the lifestyle, but then you reinvent yourself, you find your renewed self. And if you're like me, who lost herself in marriage completely, I had no idea who I was. I didn't know my weaknesses, I didn't know my strength, I didn't know my values, I had no idea who that person was, how I ended up here. And it was really difficult, but then now I can tell that there is life after big life changing events.
Sorry, Dasha.
Oh,
My baby woke up, so we're gonna continue the interview.
okay.
Um, but she'll be here, and so it might be a little bit distracting for our guests, which I really apologize about. But
That's life, right?
while I go get her, maybe do you want to start prepping people for the exercise that you're going to lead
Absolutely.
them through?
Yeah,
Because we have a
absolutely.
really amazing exercise that I really want to get to. So get
Yeah.
your pen and paper and listen to Dasha.
All right. We're going to do this awesome exercise that is called My Old Story. And we're going to rate life, all of the aspects of life on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being, ugh, is not happening for me. It's really bad. And 10 is like, yay, that's wonderful. That's awesome. Think about maybe one or two, the main ones, because yeah, you can check all that apply. It might be completely and absolutely true that it's all of them, but just start thinking about what is the big one. So we'll start with the level of physical health was, because we're gonna tell our minds that we live in the past, in the past. So even though you might be feeling this right now, use that as a past sentence. So start shifting your focus, start shifting your perspective, that we already start living the past in the past while we're feeling what is going on right now. I hope that it lands well. And if it doesn't, not a big deal. Just do what feels right to you. And I'm going to read. You're going to write it down. I'm going to read all of them, check in with yourself, feel what resonates the most, and put the check mark. Write this down. So write down, my level of physical health was, and rate yourself from 0 to 10. And now let's talk about what made it not a 10. What made it not? Yay, I enjoy this area of my life so much. So think about what made it not 10. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, negative self talk, or you can put your own. And now, the level of mental health. My level of mental health was, and rate yourself from 0 to 10. I love that we have a guest.
Yeah.
Very attentive guest. All right, let's check what made it not a 10. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, negative self talk. You can put your own if it's not on the list. Now let's rate your level of commitment to yourself. So write down, my level of commitment to myself was, and rate from 0 to 10. And as a reminder, 0 means blech, and 10 means yay, I enjoy it so much. And now keep checking with yourself. What made it not a 10? Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, negative self talk, or something that is not on the list. Now write it down. My level of personal growth and development was, and rated from 0 to 10. Check what made it not a 10. Again, keep checking with yourself. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, negative self talk, or something else. Moving on, my career was, and rated from 0 to 10. Now check what made it not a 10. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, and negative self talk. My level of creative flow was, and rate yourself from 0 to 10. Now check what made it not a 10. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, negative self talk. I want to give you a heads up how far we are. We are, okay, about halfway. So we'll keep on going. My financial situation was, rate yourself from 0 to 10. Now check what made it not a 10. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, negative self talk. Let's take a deep breath because it's getting a little bit more intense. The way I managed my money and budget was, rate yourself from 0 to 10. Now check what made it not a 10. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, negative self talk. I love babies. There is no negative self talk happening. Such a great reminder. And also, I find it helpful, and my clients find it helpful reading through this and knowing that these blocks are the same, but each question bring up more emotions, and it can be different from each section, each area of life. So I'm really hoping that it is helpful that we're doing this exercise together. My financial freedom and security was, rate yourself from 0 to 10 and check why it is not 10. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, negative self-talk, or something else. It's not on the list. My strength of support system was, rate yourself from 0 to 10. And remember, there is no judgment. This is why we're going a bit fast. So if you're like me, an overthinker, your mind might be like, why, blah, 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 like all of this thoughts about it. So this is why we're going in a very fast pace. When you have your book, you can take time, you can go in your own pace. All right, so the support system, the strength of it, check what made it not a 10. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, negative self-talk, something else. My level of connection with my significant other, my partner, was, from 0 to 10, how was it? And check why it was not a 10. Lack of shared vision, lack of motivation to prioritize one-on-one time with each other, lack of support, fear of rage, fear of emotional and or physical attacks, lack of shared goals, lack of shared values, lack of genuine connection, lack of mutual support, conflicting perspectives, or something else. And here you can literally check all that apply. I know in the beginning of the exercise I said one or two, the higher ranking ones. Here you can check all that apply. How valued did my partner make me feel about my efforts to improve our relationship? Rate from 0 to 10. And check what made it not a 10. Lack of shared vision, lack of motivation to prioritize one-on-one time with each other, lack of support, fear of rage, fear of emotional and or physical attacks, lack of shared goals, lack of shared values, lack of genuine connection, lack of respect, conflicting perspectives, and or something else. My level of feeling understood by my significant other was from 0 to 10. Check what made it not a 10. Lack of shared vision, lack of motivation to prioritize one-on-one time with each other, lack of support, fear of rage, fear of emotional or physical attack, lack of shared goals, lack of shared values, lack of genuine connection, lack of respect, conflicting perspectives. We're almost there. How much of a partner they were for me? From 0.
Sorry, Dasha.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you clarify this question?
Sure. How loved did I feel? How they showed up as a partner? Was I feeling single while being married?
Oh, okay.
Great clarifying question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Check what made it not a 10. Lack of shared vision, lack of motivation to prioritize one-on-one time with each other, lack of support, fear of rage, fear of emotional and of physical attacks, lack of shared goals, lack of shared vision, lack of shared values, lack of genuine connection, lack of mutual respect, conflicting perspectives, and or something else. And the last one, overall, I feel my life was rate from 0 to 10. Check what made it not a 10. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources, negative self-talk, and or something else. Now we can make a happy dance in the way. Yeah, we completed one part of this exercise and it's big. If it brought a lot of emotions and you're feeling overwhelmed, acknowledge that, because it's a big start. That means you have wonderful opportunity to really explore what is going on. And then there is another page. If you have a book in front of you, take a look at 3 main roadblocks that are most common across all areas of your life. And these were your tendencies and patterns. And I stress they were. We already started leaving the past in the past. Yes.
What if it was all of them every time?
Yeah, this is the question I get a lot.
Oh.
Let's focus on like top 3. because you can, every time you do this exercise, and you can use a pencil and then you can redo it, or you can buy a new book and toss this one, shred it to pieces. So like every time you feel like, okay, I healed this part, because if we start focusing on all of them, it can be so like just too much, too overwhelming and not motivating. So look at what you wrote down and see the pattern. What are the main three roadblocks? And I'm going to read them. Lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of support and accountability, fear of failure, external distractions, inadequate planning, perfectionism, procrastination, resistance to change, lack of resources. And those four are either for other that you put, or for the ones when we talked about your relationship and the partnership with your significant other.
Mhm.
So I'm going to give you a minute to look through this. And while you're doing this, remember there is no judgment, there's observation, because judgment creates a lot of resistance. And this is okay. We got to start somewhere. It's the same as learning a new skill. Everybody started walking from pretty much the same level, from crawling. So if you're crawling and somebody is running a marathon, please don't feel discouraged.
I like to say that judgment is the glue that keeps you in place, or
Oh, yeah.
like keeps you like glued down to where you are, or where she really wants to color in your book with the crayon.
Oh, I love it. My
I
fan
don't
number
want-
one. Thank
I don't want her to do that.
you. That's perfectly fine. She can play with that.
Okay, so we're present to our roadblock.
Yes, and you can handwrite them, because the studies show the connection between our brain and handwriting that is so beneficial. So just checking the box is a great start, and then we'll just add in the layer of digesting all of this information. So write down your three main roadblocks. And now we're gonna continue rewriting the story for real. So if your roadblock number one had an affirmation, what would that be?
Oh, I like that.
So if you hit lack of motivation, the affirmation would be, I am lazy, I don't want to do anything. So it can be a negative one, because we are being very clear with ourselves, very honest, and we're not sugarcoating anything. So we are really facing those roadblocks so we can move on. And if your roadblock number two had an affirmation, what would that sound like? And then for your roadblock number three, what would be its affirmation?
Oh, okay. Or if it wanted to have, if it had something to say, what would it say?
Yeah, if it had a voice, what would it say? And the reason for I put it as an affirmation, this is something that we repeat to ourselves over and over and over again. If I'm lacking motivation, that means I'm lazy. And this is an affirmation, a negative one, but it's an affirmation. Keep repeating this to yourself and that will become true. All right, now more fun. This is where we're not gonna leave you freaking out like, oh my gosh, now I know what I'm gonna do with that. We're going to flip that, because it's easy to know what you want when you know what you don't want. Same as with what kept you stuck. what kept your flow of life going, we now named and labeled all of these boulders. And that will be easier for our minds to process, like once we label some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we didn't name all of them, and you can redo this exercise, let's say 2 months from now, you will probably hit different roadblocks. Keep clearing the river, keep letting the water flow. So now the building blocks. So we're building something really cool because now we know the roadblocks. I love it. I love my number one fan. That it's, oh, might be because the texture of the book, I really like holding it.
Yeah, I love the texture of the outside of the book.
Side note, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting at my desk and planning on something and I feel like, oh my gosh, like my head is exploding, I want to really bring my awareness to some pieces. And I know it's so funny. Some people smell their skin and it brings a lot of calm to them. It's kind of like maybe when we're babies, we just smell our mom. Then this texture, I was like, I'm sitting literally stroking it. And I was like, I know it is so weird, but it works. It calms me down, calms my overthinking mind down, and be like, okay, I can continue now. So just a side note, fun fact or weird fact, however you want to see it. Okay, so choose to focus on the roadblocks and write down, I choose to focus on these roadblocks. And let's select top 3. You can close your eyes. I'm going to read them once, feel which ones resonate the most. I'm going to read second time and you just write them down. Okay, I choose to focus on these building blocks. Clear vision and setting specific goals. Connect goals to personal values and find joy in process. Find an accountability encouragement partner. Adapting growth mindset. Mindful focus, setting boundaries, creating a dedicated workspace. That would be mine. A progress over perfection, small doable steps. Proactive time management, embracing change, focusing on benefits of change. Resourcefulness, creative solutions. Self-compassion, strategic prioritization. Okay, I'm going to read them one more time. I choose to focus on these building blocks. Select 3. Clear vision and setting specific goals. Connect goals to personal values and find joy in process. Find an accountability encouragement partner. Adapting a growth mindset. Mindful focus, setting boundaries, creating a dedicated workspace. Progress over perfection, small doable steps. Proactive time management. Embracing change, focusing on benefits of change. Resourcefulness, creative solutions. Self-compassion, strategic prioritization. Or something else that you might think of. And now write your building blocks by hand. Again, you can use a pencil, you can erase that, because next time there can be other 3.
I like the building.
Okay, and the last portion of this exercise to really just sandwich it together. So we'll like have nice, beautiful looking, you can, I don't know, look at it as a jam, a sandwich, whatever you picture, that's something nice and complete. If my building block number 1 had an affirmation, what would that be? So let's say clear vision and setting specific goals. The affirmation is, I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly what I'm doing. If your building block number 2 had an affirmation, what would that sound like? So let's say progress over perfection, small doable steps. I choose to, or like, let me think about it really quickly. I do an action a day that takes me closer to my goal. I had so many different ideas on how to say it, and you get the drill, right? If my
Yeah.
building block number 3 had an affirmation, what would that be? And later in the book, there are these hexagons, or I'm not sure what they are. I just
They're
read,
pretty.
like, yeah, that you can write down the affirmations. So you have them, and you can, I don't know, put that on your wall, just cut it out, do whatever you feel like doing with that. So they're right in front of your face all the time. Make an artwork, frame them. So they're your affirmations that you're gonna repeat to yourself. So you can like rewrite in the story. So that's the big process. I really hope that was helpful to go through that together.
It's okay, baby. It's okay. Sorry.
Oh, it's the motherhood. This is what we do. We juggle, we do things, and we embrace the imperfection.
I feel like this is a good example of life balance. It's just like, well, it is what it is, and we're just gonna do our best. And I think the detail shift is I'm not gonna stress about it, and it's not gonna be potentially a professional interview to some people, and that's okay. I still think that this is very valuable to people, and I'm going forward.
Yeah, and a lot of companies, they embrace like bring your whole self to work. And what came to my mind was the Desperate Housewives, the series of early 2000. And when the character who was very career driven, but then she ended up having, I don't know, 5 kids, I believe. And she was just had she had a baby, and she came to the interview, and somebody who she left her baby with couldn't really handle it. And then she was talking strategy to her potential boss. And then she brought the baby, she was changing the diaper while she was talking without skipping a bit about the strategy. And she was like, if I can multitask and do this. And then she threw the diaper, and she was going to, well, she was aiming to the wastebasket, but it ended up being glued on the
Oh,
uh, glass of the door or wall. And she's like, oops, that's life. So I really just, I love that moment, because we hear a lot that is like, you're either a mom or you focus on career. We can do it all if we balance it, like what works best for us, and it can, what works today might not
yeah.
work tomorrow. And again, is that adaptability. But when we know the roadblocks, it will be easier. It's like if you imagine your life force like a river,
Mhm.
yeah, there is some maybe like shallow water and maybe some still water. But if it's moving, just having this maybe not very strong stream, this is good as long as it's moving. And now you're moving the boulders away, you know your building blocks, you can really shift and shape the river bend how you want it to go. And it's the hardest and the biggest step. The rest of the book will go much easier after this
Mm,
big exercise.
that's awesome. I love this book, and I'm excited to complete it myself. And so for the people that, so they can buy it on Amazon.
Yes, and
And
Barnes and Noble as well. If you don't
oh, that's
like
exciting.
Amazon,
Go you.
yeah, I know that some people are like, well, I'm trying to stay away from Amazon. Totally understand it, because we buy way too much stuff on Amazon.
Yeah.
That's in Barnes and Noble. I will leave both links. So you can just click the link and go and purchase it. It really can be a very helpful tool.
And then if people want to work with you deeper.
Yeah, there is information in the book. We're as well gonna leave the link to my website. It's budget-wiz.com. And I'm asked, why budget? Because you are a divorce coach. I was like, well, because you gotta budget all of your resources in the divorce. So this is and I once got asked, like, does it mean that you're a budget whiz or I am? I'm like, of course you are, because it's all about you. Like you become the whiz in all of the things budget, so you know how you manage your time, your money, your energy, and you're unstoppable. You just like, whoa, life is your oyster. You're on the runway, and you just go and accomplish as much as you can, because especially if you're a parent, it's difficult because there's always something pops up, and it's easy to be distracted, sidetracked, and really it's hard. So why not become a whiz and really be, okay, life, I challenge you, throw me some lemons, I can do it. So it's that kind of dance with life, and that's when and where it becomes art form.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for this time, and thank you so much for being flexible as she woke up and then joined the interview and started coloring on everything.
My pleasure. I love it. And I really love that she wanted to play with the book. She's been such a wonderful, wonderful company, such a beautiful baby. Good job, Mama. We gotta encourage each other, ourselves, give ourselves grace as much as we can. And this is what I personally work on, give myself grace, because I'm much better giving other people grace than myself. So if you have something that you work on that you really want to accomplish, just know that you're not alone. You have resources, you have tools. If you ask the question, life will provide. And if you stumbled upon this video, there is no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. That you were meant to be here, you were meant to do this exercise. If you feel inspired by the book, the new book of life, I highly, highly encourage that. Not because it's my book, it's because it's a powerful tool, and it came together with a lot of feedback, a lot of collaboration. So it's a baby, and like a baby, it requires a village to raise. So join the village, be a part of it, and you're stronger than you think you are.
Thank you, Dasha.
Thank you for having me, Jessica.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on Navigating the Aftermath. Remember, no matter how challenging the journey may seem, you are not alone. Subscribe for more empowering stories, practical wisdom to help you navigate life's twists and turns. Until next time, keep moving forward with courage and conviction.